I think I might be alone. I am all alone right now. I don't mean that it's just me in the apartment. I mean there is no one else in the world. I don't know what happened, but 3 days ago I found the sky had gone black and there was no one else alive. Except for the good old internet and news, and the phone calls I've sent my parents and coworkers. Let me start on Sunday at 10:00 p.m.So. As part of onboarding at this new company, I have to do a week or two on each other their production tours. I've already done my Tour 3, which is early morning, and Tour 2 is the default day shift. Tour 1 is dinner to early morning, which is why I'm getting up so early on a Sunday. Something about the official start of the next day being 10 p.m. yesterday or something. I got up at 9 p.m. and the first thing I noticed was just how dark it was outside, darker than if it was just late at night. I didn't think too much about it at the time because I was still tired from trying to adjust to the night shift. I got ready for the day like normal and started my drive to work. I noticed that there wasn't much traffic on the highway as I drove to work, which again, I didn't think anything of because it was late and I was still a little out of it. I didn't even realize anything was wrong when I got to work. I didn't expect there to be anyone in the office section of the warehouse where I work. I'm an operational industrial engineer, so I'm an admin. I go to my workstation, boot it up, check my emails, and begin procrastinating away the next few hours of being the only one in the office. It was around midnight that I thought to go walk the warehouse floor and see what Tour 1 looked like. The thing is, there was no one there. This was weird because I've been told we run pretty much 24/7, even on holidays. I walked the whole floor and found evidence of activity, like a pallet jack abandoned in the middle of an aisle and a few carts ready to be moved onto trucks, but no people. After something like a half hour of trying to figure out where everyone was, I decided that maybe they lied about the holiday part and this Monday was one of those random ones that we forget exist. I laugh and head home, quietly thankful for the extra day to try and acclimatize to night shifts. I was a bit more awake driving home, so I noticed the complete absence of traffic so late at night. I kind of expected there to be someone out this time, but again, it was late. I then rationalized that it was a holiday, so of course no one would be out. It was the sheer blackness that got to me though. It was dark, the only illumination coming from my headlights and the street lamps. I couldn't see the moon or any stars, just a black as black sky. I guessed it was just cloudy and put it out of my mind. When I got home, I immediately went online because I had no life and found absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. I was getting emails like normal. People had been posting videos on social media like normal. I even found a few YouTube videos that were posted an hour ago and stuff like that. Things looked normal online. And then it gets to be 8 o'clock in the morning and I look outside. It's still black as black outside. It spooked me at first, but then I remembered that it was cloudy outside. Just to be sure, I checked the weather online. Story 1. The weather said it was clear skies until Friday. I had to stare at that for a bit. Eventually, I decided that the weather's autolocate was borked and it thought I was in the next city or something. There was no way you miss clouds like that. It did kind of creep me out how it was constantly dark outside, but it wasn't until the next day that I started to get suspicious, so 9 o'clock at night. It's pitch black out. Get ready and drive to work. As I stood in the parking lot, I realized suddenly that it was warm. I get that nights can be warm sometimes, but this warmth it didn't feel right to me. I shrugged it off as some sort of weather effect. I go to work and check emails. Everything looks normal, except for the fact that I see emails that suggest that everyone came to work yesterday. I was confused, to say the least. And then I went out to walk the floor. IT was just like last night. Exactly like last night. Stuff was still on the dock waiting to be shipped. A pallet jack was in the middle of an aisle. I walked the floor for an hour trying to rationalize it until I just decided that somehow, the fact that it was still officially Monday meant that it was still a holiday, even if the schedule was weird. My mind ignored the emails telling me that today was not a holiday and assumed that everything would be normal tomorrow. It was still pitch black out and there were still no cars on the road. But there were new YouTube videos. There were new emails in my inbox. There were new posts on Reddit and Twitter. Hell, there is a full video on Twitch that was recorded yesterday. But it was still dark when the sun should have been up. My parents live only an hour away. So if there was severe weather, then my mom would have called me about it, right? I mean, she would see it when she drives to work. So I called my parents and asked about the weather. My parents, of course, said that everything was just fine and got confused when I mentioned the darkness. They rationalized it as just a storm front that they'd be dealing with later this week, and I just agreed with them because it makes sense. It was just a storm front sitting over the city. It was just a holiday. No one drives this late at night. Everything was fine. Everything was normal. And then I went back to work. Now at this point, pallet jack yada yada. It suddenly dawned on me that maybe we don't have a night shift. This is just a hazing thing done to the new guy. They say go do the night shift for a week and laugh as you walk an empty floor. It makes perfect sense, and the whole making the floor look the same. Someone was pushing it a little. I would just go home for the rest of the week. Screw them. If they wanted to effectively give me the week off, then I was going to take it off. It'd be a funny story and I'd come in on Monday at the normal time and we'd all laugh. There was no one on the road when I went home. It wasn't until dinner for my off schedule asked that I realized just how wrong things were. I'd run out of food and decided to go to Hy-Vee. The one just down the road was open from 6 in the morning to 11 at night, and it was almost 7 for me. They'd be open. So, I went out, got in my car, and it was still dark. Still off-putting, but I didn't care at this point. I noticed just how empty the street was though. My normal shift had me heading to work at this time, and there was a bit of traffic, but there was nothing. No one was even in the Hy-Vee parking lot. No one was in the store. Just my car out there and me inside, walking down rows of mildly overpriced food items alone. It was weird, and I started to get this feeling that I was being watched whenever I walked by the windows. I pretty much overloaded my cart with stuff and ran to checkout. Of course, no one was manning anything, but there was self-checkout. I went through and paid for everything I had in my cart before heading to the door. When I got outside, it was like the darkness was thicker, warmer, somehow. There was no one out there, but I don't know. I shoved everything into my car and drove off, mostly respecting the speed limit. I was weirded out. I knew something was wrong, but I don't know. I just don't know. Thankfully, there's a garage at my apartment, so I could take my groceries in without feeling watched. But everything looked fine online. I had an idea though. I would call my mom. My mom would drive up after work. She'd buzz in at the front gate. She'd come to my apartment door and knock. She'd prove I wasn't crazy. She'd prove that it was just foggy, and there were clouds, and that, somehow, I just happened to miss everyone at the grocery store. So I called my mom. She could tell from the way I was acting that someone was wrong, and that she would be driving up immediately. The hour and a half it took her to get here was the longest of my life. Throughout it, I would peek outside and feel wrong, alone, watched, and then I get a buzz on my phone. Apartment front door. I let my mom into the building and waited, and then she calls me. My mom was in my apartment, but I couldn't see her. She said that she knocked and eventually tried the handle. I guess it happened that my door was unlocked, except for the fact that my door was locked. She was looking around. My computer was on, and apparently, my lights were on, but I wasn't there. My first reaction is that she clearly must have gone into the wrong apartment. I didn't hear knocking because the walls were built right. We both laugh, and I go outside to make sure she sees me. She says that I'm not in the hall. I say that's impossible. I FaceTime her and show her the hall that I am clearly in. She times me and shows me the hall that I am not in. I don't get it. I walk my mom through my apartment with FaceTime, and we find out that somehow, I haven't been there for 3 days. My fridge is like it was from Saturday. My computer is on and has Reddit open. I make sure she's in my room when I open up a YouTube video, but she says that she doesn't see anything. She believes me when I say I'm scared. She believes me when I open the blinds and show her the darkness outside. She asks me what that thing in the fog is. What thing in the fog? There is something out there. There is something in the darkness, and it is watching me. My mom says that she'll stay on the line and keep me company while I barricade my apartment. Eventually, though, she needs to leave. I promise to text her every hour that I'm okay. I just texted her right now. Funny that. That thing is out there. And somehow it feels like the darkness is pushing in slightly through the windows. I don't know what to do. I'm debating sleeping in the bathroom just to have an extra door between me and it. I'll update you if anything else happens. Update. Something is in my apartment. I can hear it outside my bedroom door. There isn't a lock on it since this is a one-bedroom, so I've just got a chair propped up against it keeping it shut.